All right, guys, but promised another very special guest. And like I mentioned to him before, we visited a couple of times over the years, been a big fan for many years. You know him from Whose Line Is It Anywhere? Anyway, among so many other things. Got a show coming up to the Civic Center Music Hall, Asking for Trouble, coming up next Saturday. And Colin Mochrie with us. And Colin, I'll let you talk about the two-man show you got coming up. Excited about the appearance.
Yeah, so are we. It's always nice for work at this advanced age. So we're very happy. Um, yeah, for those of you who don't know, it's sort of a live version of Whose Line Is It Anyway without the dead weight, as we call the others. So everything starts with a suggestion from the audience. We have audience members on stage with us for over half the show. It's just goofy fun for 2 hours.
What is the hardest part of the live show? I mean, is it always refreshing and always new every time you go out, or does it get a little mundane after so long?
No, this is our 22nd year of touring. And I think part of the reason we've managed to go on so long without killing each other is every show is a unique show, and every show is for that audience. No one will ever see that show again. So that kind of makes it exciting. It's exciting when you're about to walk on stage and you realize all these people have paid money to see a show and you don't actually have it at that moment. So that never gets old.
Now, and working with Brad like you have over the years too, and to be able to work with friends over the years, how refreshing is that to also aside of all the differences that everybody shows us in the world, show how much alike we really are, Colin.
Yeah. I mean, it really, especially in improv, it really helps if you work with someone who you trust. And, we've worked together so long that I can sort of see where he's going to go in a scene, what he's going to say, perhaps. And there's times I have no idea where he's going, but I trusted him enough. I'll just follow and see what happens. And as I said, over the 22 years, we've never had any kind of disagreement. We both have sort of the same view of how we want the show to be. We're constantly coming up with ways of making it more uncomfortable for us because we find out that's when we have the most fun, when we're outside of our comfort zone and have no idea what's going on. So it's been a good partnership.
Now you talked about out of your comfort zone. I always think of the times with Ryan where somebody was blind feeding the other person, and how fun was that for you to be able to do that to Ryan, and how scary is that for someone to do that to you?
It's it's not really scary. I mean, it is fun to do it. I'd rather do it to someone else rather than have them do it to me. But everything that happens on stage, even when it goes off the rails, it's kind of a win-win situation for us because it still the scene. It keeps us invested, it keeps us in survival mode, which is when we usually get the funniest.
And for you, uh, what is the biggest thing that you learned about yourself over the last 4 years? This is one of those questions that I think tells us a lot about how much alike we really are. What did you learn most about yourself since pandemic times, Colin?
I think I learned that I can take it easy if I need it. And I needed more balance in my life. I mean, I love working, I love touring, but during the time during lockdown, it was the longest I'd been home in 20 years. I found out my wife still enjoys me. We had kind of a very lovely time. So I sort of made a conscious decision of leading up to the pandemic, I was doing two different tours. I was filming a movie. I was doing a TV show all at the same time. And then going from that to nothing, it was like, oh, no, I kind of like this also. So I think I've learned to balance my life more, which has been great.
And how much have you had to learn technology, maybe against your own will, and has that turned out to be a positive thing in the long run?
I'm going to say in the long run, it's a positive thing because it keeps your mind involved and you learn how to troubleshoot. Brad and I did shows on Zoom during the pandemic, and we had an incredible tech crew. He was in Vegas, I was in Toronto. It looked as though we were in the same room. We could actually go into audience members' homes and talk to them and have them in our scenes. And we could do special effects things that we could never do in our show. So that was it was interesting. It was different doing a comedy show to no laughter. Brad is totally used to it. But it really threw me a little. So that was it was an interesting experience, and I'm glad we did it. But I much prefer being in a theater, being live, having fun with the audience there.
Now, Colin, who were the early influences on your comedy? Who were the ones as you were growing up that really made you belly laugh, if you will?
All right, people, get ready to Google. I I grew up in a great time for comedy. I mean, I was a big fan of Chaplin and Buster Keaton, and then the Dick Van Dyke Show. People like Jack Benny and Bob Hope, the Bob Hope movies, especially with Bing Crosby. And then Monty Python happened. So all these incredible influences happened. Jonathan Winters, who was sort of the first person I saw doing improv, and I didn't know it was improv. I just loved him, and I think that sort of stayed in me as I started to get into improv. And then Robin Williams, so many. I mean, there's just been so many funny people who have influenced me in ways that I don't think I even realized. And then there's some people who I've directly stolen from. So it's worked out nicely.
Jonathan Winters, I think, is one of those that is underappreciated in
Yeah.
the comedy ranks because he of all the comedy bits, I think one of the times he was on with Robin Williams with on the Tonight Show was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life, and like you said, he was a huge influence on so many.
Oh, he was amazing. There's a clip on YouTube. He was on the Jack Parr show, and Jack Parr gave him a stick and said, "Do whatever you want." And he just went 5 minutes going from scene to scene using a stick, and it was just breathtaking.
Now, for you, what inspires you about the live show?
I love the connection with the audience. After coming back after the pandemic, there was a real uh, feeling that we didn't have before that. There was such an excitement to be back with live theater. And I don't know if this is going to last, but it was like, "Oh, we're not going to take this for granted. We're going to enjoy every moment that's happening." And that was on both sides of the curtain. And so there's that. It's great that we get to travel the country and see different areas, different, and even though, I mean, we've gone all around the world doing this show, and it really does come down. The one thing I've learned, no matter where you are, everyone laughs at a fart joke. And that sort of it makes you feel like we do have a lot more in common than we realize. So I love the fact that we're making people laugh when they need it, and we get so many lovely emails and lovely notes. Because to us, it's sometimes we don't take this well, of course we don't take it seriously, but we also sometimes downplay it, like, yeah, I spent the night walking like a chicken or whatever. And but you get people going, I was going through a tough time, a parent had just died, my I was going through a divorce, and that show just gave me 2 hours where I didn't have to think about anything else and just had a good time. So um I really feel comedy is an essential service.
And how emotionally different was it as you came back after being told that we had to be away from each other? How hard was it to get up close again?
It was a little tentative at the beginning because we were still didn't quite know what was going on. But then we quickly just I would say the first 10 minutes of every show once we came back was a little tentative from both us and the audience. And then by the end, it was just, oh yeah, this is what it is.
Now, on a lot of comedians have different routines, if you will, the day of. Are you one that likes to come to the show after seeing nobody ahead of time so that your mood isn't set ahead, or are you one like Brad Williams? I was talking to him. He said for the best show, he hopes that people make him mad throughout the day. So what's your mental status coming into the show? What's the best mental status for Colin?
For me, it's just like having a pretty kind of relaxed day. I don't uh, cloister myself in my hotel room, but I do go out. I make sure that I have a good meal, plenty of time before the show. Sometimes Brad and I actually connect during the day, but most of the time it's just to kind of relax, get my mind off off the show in a way. And then once I get in there, being able to walk on the show on stage with absolutely no thought in my head is the best way for me to perform without any expectation. So I'm free to go with whatever the audience throws at me, whatever Brad throws at me, and that makes it fun.
And having the opportunity to look back, like you said, the influences in your younger years, watching them on TV, now being able, like you said, to travel the world. What place was it that you had to like pinch yourself and be like, am I really having the opportunity to play here?
We Whose Line started in Britain, and they had the 30th anniversary a couple of years ago, and we did 5 live shows at the Royal Albert Hall in
Wow.
London. It was like, and you're backstage and you see, pictures of Sinatra and Ella Fitzgerald and the Beatles and all these incredible acts, and then here's us getting people to shout at it so we can make up stuff. That was a real, I don't understand my career, but I'm certainly enjoying it.
That is awesome. Well, again, the upcoming show Saturday, August 17th, going to be at the Civic Center Music Hall. Asking for Trouble. Colin, always want to make sure and let our viewers and our listeners know where to find more information, social media, and all that as well, sir.
You can find more about the Colin and Brad Show at colinandbradshow.com. I'm on X. I have to think before I say, yeah, it's X now, at Colin Mochrie, and I'm on Instagram at Colin Mochrie 7591.
All
I've
right.
had so I've had to change my name so many times because there's other Colin Mochries out there, and I can't get my name back. So you'll find me somewhere.
Well, Colin, it is always great to visit with you, sir. Appreciate the work that you've done over the years, and keep smiling.
Oh, thank you for having me on.